Nightwing 82, Tom Taylor writing with Bruno Redondo on the art. So, always an event, getting a new issue of Taylor's Nightwing. And
Just for the record, Redondo, Rick Leonardi, and Neil Edwards are all on art.
oh, I do apologize. But yeah, so we had the cliffhanger last issue of the sister. I thought this was particularly well handled at the start of this book. The way Nightwing's narration kind of like reacts to more parts of what she says as it's only the first panel really, but it made me laugh a little bit. The little oh no when he realized there might be some validity to this was
that panel. I had flashbacks to like as if I was reading the Brian Q. Miller Stephanie Brown Batgirl book.
Yeah,
with that narration.
I can see that. I can see that. And I got a cackle out of this joke here where you realize, oh, give me my mask back. I need to talk to Oracle. She's probably sending in the cavalry. And we get this joke where she has to call off the save bird rescue?
Big bird extraction.
Big bird extraction, that's what it was. And you turned the page and I was like, okay, here we're going to see like, the entire Justice League. And it was like, it ended up being not the Justice League, but it was like the Titans, Batman, all being like, all right, we're almost here though.
It's his Titans team, which makes sense. That's way better to me than the Justice League.
I love when writers do this because it's like it's heartwarming to see them come to save him, and then even Bruce is kind of the last one to peel out.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to imply that I was disappointed that it wasn't the Justice League.
Oh,
no.
But I like that it's his Titan team. Like it's not like, and personally, I'm glad it's
his team and Batman because of course Batman.
I guess in my head I thought it might have even been funnier if it was like, you know, that page you get at the end of like Rebirth when it was launching, it was the whole roster of the DC universe. Just have a page like that where they're all coming because Dick Grayson's in trouble.
Memes though, here they come to save him from DDO. You know, like.
But no, it was a heartwarming little beat. But it's like, okay, all right, you're about to be completely trashed by lots of superheroes. Who
the small moment of him letting out the sigh of relief and there being the physical puff of air is a artistic touch I absolutely love in this issue.
Oh sure, yeah, and So from here it becomes this flashback issue where she takes him to her mother. And her mother tells the story of how she met John Grayson and Zuko and everyone else. And it's not a pleasant story. It's a pretty sad story where she was effectively purchased as a bride, as a young woman, and eventually run away when she was at the circus. The Graysons helped her. She does point out, though, that Dick's parents were not an item yet. And even though in hindsight she said it was pretty clear that they were always going to eventually be an item, but they weren't actually an item. So there was never cheating around like that.
They put her that John put Mary up on such a pedestal and vice versa that they couldn't make it work yet.
And the art here is very much and the flashback and the story itself is very much trying to harken back to like an older age of comic books.
I feel like this would look amazing printed on matte newspaper style paper.
The old style.
That's what it's shooting for. It wants that feel because it's trying to harken back because Dick Grayson's origin, of course, goes all the way back to the 40s.
Yeah.
So, and so what's interesting about this is that obviously it just shows that both the Graysons are kind of heroic because they're hiding this woman who's scared. She ends up staying with John for a brief time until
as well that everyone in the circus steps in to help.
Yeah, even Haley comes in and says, do you know where she is? And he's like, oh, she's in my trailer. Like, oh, good man. Like, there's a little exchange there that's really sweet. And I think what's interesting to me about this story though is that Zuko eventually finds her when they're touring somewhere else, and comes and nabs her back and gets John back a little bit by beating him up, and he's going to kill him, but whatever. What gets me about this story is that this is effectively adding in an element to the murder of the Graysons, and that's the sort of thing that on paper, if you just told me they're going to add in an extra like bit of motivation for that, it might sound quite bad. And for most superhero origin stories, I think most things you could add to them are probably going to feel like a really bad retcon, feel like you're putting stuff in. I think what makes it kind of work here with this is that the Grayson's murder was never meant to be a random act like Bruce's parents was. It was never meant to be that.
There was always motivation.
There was
of
always
some sort.
There was always intention. This just flips it slightly to being he specifically wanted those two to be the ones who died, beyond just two people at the circus to make the the threat, the retaliation as it was.
It adds a bit more of it being personal for Zuko. Like it wasn't just a shakedown. Like he was getting back at the carnival for stealing his, what's the word? Mail order bride.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I like
the
that
way
though,
he
too,
sees it, probably property.
Right, and so the fact that this now created Nightwing and also, this Zuko, and now she's the mayor of Bloodhaven, all goes back to the circus.
Yeah, it's just it's actually an impressive way of adding it into the story without changing or altering what the story was supposed to be in the first place. It didn't feel like it betrayed the intent of that action. And there's obviously the debate where, because she makes it clear that this is because before the Graysons got together, that obviously that means Dick's sister's older than him, at least by a little bit. And she mentions that she brought her daughter to meet John, when she was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 or something, and lo and behold, found that Dick was there and existed and was with his parents and didn't want to like make that life messy, didn't want to make that relationship messy. Which again is a little heroic on her part and a bit selfless. Although she always wanted to kind of like eventually come in and tell them and let people know and give them a chance to meet, give people give John a chance to meet his daughter and like for all the reasons that you would, but of course it was too late because of the death. So it's I think it's a really neat way of repackaging this a little bit to put in this character. And I know that I usually complain about retconning characters into someone's past, but this is a rare case where I think it kind of works. And I also think it's important to say that this is not retconning someone into Dick's past that he knows that we've never heard about. Right. This is someone that Dick didn't know about, so it puts him in the same footing as us, which makes it easier to relate to as a reader. So
well, now his sister's the mayor, so and works for Blockbuster. This is a typical Daredevil move, I feel like, which I always love the comparisons between Daredevil and Dick Grayson, because they're both these heroes that just get the absolute piss knocked out of them in their personal and superhero life, and this is just another one. I just love that now this overcomplicates, not just like there's a new mayor that has ties to Blockbuster, but now that Dick has a sister he never knew. And what is that going to do?
Yeah, and I mean, there's another element here that you mentioned is that Melinda's mother here doesn't seem to know who her daughter is in terms of her criminal side of life.
No, and she doesn't know that Dick is Nightwing.
Yes, but obviously Melinda does because his mask is off at the start of this show. But we also have this idea that maybe Dick doesn't quite understand, and maybe we don't quite understand what her motives are. Like, I mean, she seems like she's being villainous, but I mean, this could all be for a means to an end. This could be, for some other reason to take down the crime from the inside. Some.
Yeah, the fact that her origin is so tied to her mom trying to get away from Zuko, it makes me think that is not Tony's daughter. You know what I mean? Not just because it's, John Grayson's biological daughter. But she is doing this like it's a means to an end, right? Blockbuster, she got in with him. Now she's mayor, and she's actually, she wants to do good. I don't feel like she's villainous.
You feel at her heart she is more Grayson than Zuko, despite the name.
Yeah, and that the fact she's still a politician though, right? Like she's still gonna mess with Dick on those levels. But not I don't think the mayor's office is going to be interfering in superheroics.
A politician messing with Dick. Kind of imagine that.
Usually, yeah. A bit of a different, but hey.
I actually touched at the end because obviously just as Dick's having this thought, it's like, hey, she doesn't really know about what you're actually up to. I mean, she knows you become mayor and she seems quite proud of you, but she doesn't really know what you're up to. And just as that happens, there's a blinding light through the windows, a police helicopter, and the cliffhanger is that Blockbuster is outside with the team. So it's entirely possible that Dick might hide at the start of next issue and let the scene play out, and we'll maybe hear some juicy details. Or it's possible that Dick will have to fight Blockbuster and get the shit beat out of him, which could also be fun.
Here's the thing: is as far as we know, that like he could just was he in his uniform?
He was at first, but he switched into something casual to meet the.
And Blockbuster doesn't
pajamas,
know Dick Grayson's. Yeah, he doesn't know Dick Grayson's Nightwing, right?
No.
Yeah, so this could just be a social call with the mayor, and he's gonna have to restrain himself from wanting to fight Blockbuster.
Yeah, but that classic trope where like Blockbuster will do something kind of like threatening, and Dick's gonna have to hold back.
He has a lot of guns there for a social call.
That's true.
No, I'm talking not for Blockbuster, for Dick. That's how he's gonna have to escape.
Why Dick is there?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's just this is my whoever,
Yeah. If anything, Blockbuster's going to assume it's a romantic thing, and maybe there'll be a joke with Dick sort of like making a face like, yeah, romantic, yeah, with my sister. Or something, I don't know. But
I'm not even gonna do it.
I don't even know what I was thinking.
It's make a really bad.
I don't know what I was gonna do either.
Yeah. So I will say on the art, obviously the Redondo art at the start and the end is fantastic. Exceptional as it's been throughout the book. I think the first flashback artist is really good because it's just doing that classic style that's meant to mimic kind of the older comics. I think the second flashback artist though, is basically when Dick's around as a boy, that sort of section of the book. That's when we have the second flashback artist, and it does look a bit, weaker, let's say, than the first chunk. When Dick's flying through the air, being grabbed by his parents and stuff.
It felt pretty consistent to me. Like I can see where the change is, like I say, but I don't feel like it's that different. Not anything drastic.
I mean, it's not terrible for the most part. I do think the full page spread of like the two dead parents and Dick crying his eyes out looks a bit rough. I don't know if it's just overshading or the over line work in the muscles just makes them all look a bit too bulky.
I mean, they are acrobats.
Yeah, but I mean, just even compared to the rest of the book, I'm not saying. I don't know. I'm just getting overly detailed from it. That's all I'm saying.
To me, I didn't get that at all. It felt pretty consistent. Maybe slightly overshadowed, just because it's got that spotlight effect, very intentionally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it's very from the transition to the very clean, right, where they're falling into the net, to a smash cut of there being no net.
Yeah.
And it's just complete, he's completely destroyed. I feel like the harshness works.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I'm not fond of the page. But no one has to agree with me though. It's just a bit and we can move on. That's all right. That's all. Otherwise though, pretty great issue. Obviously, it's not one that moves the story forward much because it's by its nature it's a backstory issue, but the backstory stuff is pretty interesting and it did a good job. Even though we know the fate of the Graysons, like giving us that small moment where John goes out of his way to protect this person is like, oh great, you're making me care in the context of even just this story, so that I'll care a little bit when they're dead. Thanks for that, Taylor. I mean, it is good. Objectively, it's good, but also I'm being cynical and saying thanks for that, Taylor, you dick. Making me feel bad.
That's what he does. That bastard.
Jerk.
He's shockingly good. I mean, the homeless guy with the heart from like issue 2, that was a thing. So, he's been very good at that. I say issue 2, it was like 79. You know what I mean? The second issue
of this run.
Yes. So, alright, Matt, what are you giving Nightwing 82?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Connor?
I'm giving it a straight 8. While very good, I think the nature of it being a flashback issue holds it back slightly.
I'll probably go with a straight 8 as well. Although I'll say it's just a bit more because the second flashback artist for me just maybe drags it down a little bit, but really good as per usual. Has a lot of that Nightwing flair that Taylor's had.